Every single time you brush your hair in the morning and see those strands clinging to your brush, something inside you breaks just a little bit more. You tell yourself it's normal, that everyone loses some hair, but deep down you know this isn't right. The handful of hair in the shower drain that wasn't there 5 years ago, the widening part line you try desperately to cover, the way you can see more scalp through your ponytail than you ever could before. These aren't just minor inconveniences. They're stealing your confidence, making you feel older than you are, making you wonder if you'll ever feel beautiful again. And here's the hardest truth of all. You've been told this is just what happens after 50, that you need to accept it, make peace with it, maybe invest in some expensive treatments, or just hide it under hats and scarves for the rest of your life. But what if I told you that nearly everything you've been told about hair loss after 50 is incomplete at best and dangerously wrong at worst? What if the solution isn't some expensive pharmaceutical intervention, but something so simple, so accessible, that it's probably sitting in your grocery store aisle being completely ignored? Before we dive into what this solution is, do me a favor, hit that like button and drop your age in the comments below, because what I'm about to share works differently depending on where you are in this journey, and I want to create a community of women supporting each other through this. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening inside your body when you see that hair falling out. Your hair follicles, think of them as tiny gardens on your scalp, need specific nutrients to grow strong, healthy strands. What this really means is that each hair on your head is like a plant that needs the right soil, the right water, and the right fertilizer to thrive. When you hit your 50s, several things change all at once in ways most doctors don't explain clearly enough. Your body's ability to absorb protein decreases. Think of it as your digestive system becoming less efficient at extracting the building blocks your hair desperately needs. At the same time, hormonal shifts during and after menopause create an environment where the hair growth cycle, which normally lasts years, starts shortening dramatically. What this really means is your hair spends less time growing and more time resting or falling out. And here's what most women don't realize. By the time you notice significant hair loss, your follicles have been starving for nutrients for months or even years. The visible thinning you see today isn't from what happened last week. It's the result of deficiencies that have been building silently while you went about your life thinking everything was fine. I've talked to women who describe standing in the bathroom, tears streaming down their faces, holding clumps of hair they just lost while washing. One woman shared how she noticed after her morning shower routine, which she'd done the same way for 30 years, she was suddenly losing 3 times as much hair as she used to. She said she felt like her body was betraying her, like she was watching herself disappear strand by strand, and there was nothing she could do about it. Another woman told me she stopped going to her weekly book club because she couldn't stand the thought of her friends noticing how thin her hair had become. These aren't just cosmetic concerns. These stories reveal something deeper about how hair loss affects our sense of identity, our confidence, our willingness to engage with the world. And stay with me here, because this connects to your situation in a way most people don't realize. When your body doesn't get enough protein, it makes a ruthless decision about resource allocation. Your body essentially says, okay, we don't have enough to go around, so let's prioritize the vital organs, the heart, the liver, the kidneys, and let's sacrifice the non-essential stuff like hair, skin and nails. Think of it as your body running a company during a financial crisis and deciding which departments to keep and which to shut down. Your hair department gets shut down first. Now here's where most women make 5 critical mistakes that actually accelerate their hair loss without realizing it, and we're going to count these down from number 5 to number 1, with each one becoming more serious and more impactful than the last. Coming in at number 5, you're relying on animal protein alone and ignoring the most bioavailable plant-based sources that your aging digestive system can actually process more easily. Here's what happens. After 50, your stomach produces less hydrochloric acid. Think of it as the chemical that breaks down your food becoming weaker and less effective. This means that dense animal proteins like steak and chicken, while excellent protein sources for younger people, become harder for your body to break down and absorb efficiently. What this really means is you might be eating plenty of protein on paper, but your body is only extracting a fraction of what it needs. Many American women report feeling bloated or heavy after protein-rich meals, and they assume they're eating too much protein when actually their body is struggling to process it. The solution isn't to eat less protein, it's to add more easily digestible plant-based proteins that your body can break down and use immediately. Medical research has shown that certain vegetables contain protein in forms that require less digestive work, making them ideal for older adults whose digestive systems aren't as robust as they used to be. What you'll notice when this goes wrong is that tight, itchy feeling on your scalp, the way your hair feels thinner and more brittle than it used to, the way you find hair on your pillow in the morning that wasn't there a few years ago. Here's the fix. You need to add specific high-protein vegetables to your daily routine, and we're going to talk about exactly which ones in just a moment. But understand that this isn't about replacing your current protein sources, it's about supplementing them with forms your body can actually use. Moving to number 4, you're washing your hair at the wrong frequency and using products that strip away the natural proteins your scalp produces to protect thinning hair. This feels wrong at first because we've been taught that clean hair is healthy hair. But what most women don't know is that overwashing, especially with harsh sulfate-based shampoos, removes not just dirt but also the sebum and protein coating that keeps hair strong and attached to your scalp. Think of it as washing a delicate sweater every single day with industrial detergent and wondering why it's falling apart. I've talked to women who switched from daily washing to twice-weekly washing, and they describe how after the first awkward adjustment week, where their hair felt different, within 3 weeks the shedding decreased noticeably. One woman shared how she was finding maybe 20 strands in the shower drain instead of the 60 or 70 she'd been seeing daily. That's more than a 60% reduction just from changing washing frequency. What this really means is you're giving your scalp time to replenish its natural protective coating, time to heal from the constant assault of cleansing chemicals. Here's the fix. Wash your hair no more than 2 to 3 times per week using a gentle sulfate-free shampoo, and on the in-between days use dry shampoo or simply rinse with water. I know what you're thinking. You're worried your hair will look greasy or feel dirty, but stay with me here because this connects to your situation differently than you expect. After about 2 weeks, your scalp adjusts its oil production and your hair actually looks better, fuller, more vibrant on the non-wash days than it did when you were washing daily. This goes against what most people believe, but European research has consistently found that less frequent washing with gentler products improves hair density in women over 50. Now we're at number 3, and this is where things get really serious. You're not getting nearly enough iron to support the hemoglobin production that carries oxygen to your hair follicles. And without oxygen, those follicles simply shut down. What this really means is that your hair follicles are suffocating slowly, starving for the oxygen they need to produce new hair cells. Think of it as trying to grow a garden in soil that has no air circulation. The roots can't breathe, the plants can't grow, everything withers away. Many women report feeling more tired than they used to, needing naps in the afternoon, feeling winded going upstairs. And they chalk it up to aging when actually they're dealing with iron deficiency that's affecting not just their energy but their hair growth. Here's what happens on a cellular level that most doctors don't explain clearly. Iron is a critical component of hemoglobin, the protein in your red blood cells that carries oxygen from your lungs to every cell in your body, including your scalp. When you don't have enough iron, your body once again makes that ruthless priority decision, sending oxygen to your heart and brain first and letting your hair follicles languish at the bottom of the list. What you'll notice when this goes wrong is not just hair loss, but hair that grows slower than it used to, hair that breaks easily, hair that lacks shine and vitality. I've talked to women who describe their hair feeling lifeless and straw-like, and when they got their iron levels tested, they discovered they were severely deficient despite eating what they thought was a balanced diet. Here's the fix. You need to combine iron-rich foods with vitamin C sources because vitamin C dramatically increases iron absorption. Eat spinach with lemon juice squeezed over it. Have strawberries with your iron supplement. Drink orange juice with your iron-rich meals. Within about 6 to 8 weeks of consistent iron intake, many women report noticing baby hairs growing along their hairline, those tiny new sprouts that signal your follicles are waking up and getting back to work. But as helpful as this is, the next one does something even more powerful. Number 2 is a mistake that shocked me when I first learned about it. You're experiencing chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your body that's attacking your hair follicles like they're foreign invaders, and this inflammation is being triggered largely by what you eat every single day. This is where most people don't realize the connection between their diet and their hair health. Inflammation, think of it as your immune system being constantly activated and overreacting to everything, creates an environment where your hair follicles can't function normally. What this really means is that your body is essentially at war with itself, and your hair is becoming collateral damage in that war. Medical research has found that inflammatory markers in the blood are significantly elevated in women experiencing hair loss, and when those inflammatory markers decrease, hair growth resumes. I've talked to women who eliminated inflammatory foods like refined sugar, processed carbohydrates, and excessive dairy from their diets, and they describe how within 2 months they noticed not just less shedding, but their hair feeling thicker when they ran their fingers through it. One woman shared how her hairdresser commented that her ponytail felt noticeably fuller during a routine trim, and this was before she even mentioned changing her diet. What you'll notice when inflammation is attacking your follicles is that tight, tender feeling on your scalp, almost like your skin is too tight for your head, or that burning sensation that some women describe. These are signs that your immune system is overactive in your scalp area. Here's the fix. Add anti-inflammatory vegetables and herbs to every single meal. This includes things like turmeric mixed into your morning eggs, ginger tea instead of coffee, dark leafy greens with every dinner. Within 3 to 4 months, many American women report significant reduction in shedding and noticeably thicker hair growth. However, there's one more thing you absolutely need to know, and this might shock you. This is the foundation that everything else builds on. We've arrived at the most devastating mistake, the number one thing that's sabotaging your hair regrowth efforts, and this is it. This is the big one. You're eating nowhere near enough protein overall, and more specifically, you're completely missing the one vegetable that contains more bioavailable protein per serving than for eggs, and that your body after 50 can absorb and use more efficiently than almost any other protein source on the planet. This vegetable is spinach, and before you dismiss this, stay with me, because what I'm about to explain will change how you think about protein entirely. Here's what makes spinach extraordinary for hair growth, especially for women over 50. 1 cup of cooked spinach contains about 5 grams of easily digestible protein, and while that might not sound like much compared to the 7 grams in 1 large egg, the protein in spinach comes packaged with iron, vitamin A, vitamin C, folate, and antioxidants that eggs simply don't provide in the same concentrations. What this really means is that spinach delivers a complete hair growth package in one food, hitting multiple deficiency points simultaneously. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for your hair, addressing protein deficiency, iron deficiency, vitamin deficiency, and inflammation all at once. Medical research has consistently found that the iron in spinach, when combined with its vitamin C content, creates a synergistic absorption effect, where your body can use more of the nutrients than it could if you consumed them separately. And here's what makes this especially important for American women over 50. Studies have shown that postmenopausal women need more protein than their younger counterparts, not less, because their bodies become less efficient at protein synthesis. You need about 25 to 30% more protein just to maintain the same muscle mass and hair growth you had at 40. But instead of eating more, most women over 50 actually eat less protein because they're worried about weight gain, or they simply don't feel as hungry. This creates a devastating downward spiral where inadequate protein leads to muscle loss, which slows metabolism, which leads to eating even less, which accelerates hair loss, which tanks confidence, which increases stress, which makes everything worse. I've talked to women who started eating 2 cups of cooked spinach daily, and they describe results that sound almost too good to be true, but are backed by the physiological science we just discussed. One woman shared how after just 3 weeks of adding spinach to her breakfast omelette and her dinner salad, she noticed the shower drain wasn't clogging like it used to. Another woman said that after 2 months, her husband commented that her hair looked fuller, and he's not someone who typically notices those things. These stories illustrate something crucial. When you address the root cause, which is protein and nutrient deficiency, your body responds quickly because it's been waiting desperately for the resources it needs to rebuild. What this really means is that your hair follicles aren't dead, they're dormant, sleeping, waiting for someone to give them the nutrition they need to wake up and start growing again. But spinach isn't the only powerful hair growth vegetable you should know about. Broccoli deserves mention here because 1 cup of chopped broccoli provides about 4 grams of protein, along with enormous amounts of vitamin C, vitamin K, and sulforaphanine, a compound that medical research has linked to reduced inflammation and improved cellular health. Think of broccoli as spinach's slightly less protein-dense cousin that brings other superpowers to the table. Lentils and beans, while technically legumes not vegetables, deserve honourable mention because they contain 8 to 9 grams of protein per half-cup serving, along with biotin, folate, iron, folate, and zinc. Many women report that adding a half cup of lentils to their lunch salad created visible improvements in hair thickness within 6 weeks. Now here's where most women make another critical error. They add these foods sporadically, a little spinach here, some broccoli there, and then wonder why they're not seeing results. I know what you're thinking. You're wondering how much you actually need to eat and how consistently. The answer, based on what doctors often see in clinical practice, is that you need to eat at least 2 to 3 cups of these high-protein vegetables daily, every single day, for a minimum of 3 months before you can accurately assess results. This feels like a lot at first, but think about it this way. 2 cups of spinach wilts down from 2 huge raw handfuls to about 1 cup cooked, which fits easily into an omelette or a smoothie. 1 cup of broccoli is about 1 medium stalk. When you break it down like this, it becomes manageable, doable, something you can actually sustain long term. Let me give you a simple implementation roadmap so you're not overwhelmed. Start with week 1. Add 1 cup of spinach to your breakfast, either in a smoothie or cooked into scrambled eggs. That's it, just one change. Let your body adjust. Week 2, add another cup of spinach or a cup of broccoli to your dinner. Week 3, add a half cup of lentils to your lunch. Week 4, assess how you feel. Make adjustments, but keep the foundation consistent. By week 12, which is where hair growth cycles start showing visible results, many women report seeing baby hairs along their hairline, noticeably less shedding, and hair that feels stronger when they style it. But here's what makes this especially powerful for people over 50. As you age, your digestive system needs more fibre to function optimally, and these vegetables provide that fibre alongside the protein. What this really means is you're solving multiple aging-related problems simultaneously. You're supporting your hair, improving your digestion, reducing inflammation, boosting your energy, and supporting your immune system, all with the same foods. Many American women who've tried this approach describe feeling better overall, not just seeing better hair, and that makes sense physiologically because you're nourishing your entire system, not just targeting one symptom. Now, I want to address the skepticism I know some of you are feeling because I can almost hear it. This sounds too simple. How can vegetables compete with prescription treatments or expensive supplements? Here's the truth that doctors know but don't always emphasize. Pharmaceutical interventions work best when combined with optimal nutrition, not instead of it. You can take all the minoxidil in the world, but if your body doesn't have the protein building blocks to construct new hair, those treatments can't work to their full potential. Think of it like trying to build a house without any lumber. You can have the best construction crew in the world, but if there's no raw material, nothing gets built. Medical research has consistently shown that women who combine nutritional optimization with other hair loss treatments see significantly better results than those who rely on treatments alone. And I want to be clear about realistic expectations because this is crucial. Eating spinach and other high-protein vegetables won't make you 20 years old again. You won't see results overnight. Your hair won't suddenly become as thick as it was when you were 25. What you can realistically expect over 3 to 6 months is reduced shedding, stronger hair that breaks less easily, new growth along your hairline, and overall improved hair density. For most women, this means going from visibly thinning hair that makes them self-conscious to hair that looks full enough that they feel confident again. That's the realistic promise here, not perfection, but meaningful improvement that restores confidence and makes you feel like yourself again. Here's your action plan starting today. First, buy fresh spinach, broccoli, and if you can find them, lentils or chickpeas. Second, commit to adding 2 cups of cooked leafy greens to your daily routine for the next 90 days. 3 months, no exceptions, no skipping days. Third, take progress photos today, same lighting, same hair part, same angle, and then take new photos every 2 weeks so you can actually see the changes that happen gradually. Fourth, consider taking a biotin supplement and a vitamin D supplement alongside your dietary changes because studies have found these support the hair growth process. Fifth, reduce your hair washing frequency to 2 to 3 times weekly maximum and switch to sulfate-free products. And here's what you need to understand about the timeline. You won't see dramatic changes in week 1 or week 2. Your hair grows about 1/2 inch per month under optimal conditions, and it takes time for those new stronger hairs to emerge and become visible. But many women report that around week 4 to 6, they notice less hair on their pillow and in the shower drain. Around week 8 to 10, they notice baby hairs sprouting along their hairline. Around week 12 to 16, they notice their ponytail feels fuller, their part looks less wide, their overall hair volume has improved noticeably. By month 6, the transformation can be remarkable when you compare it to your starting photos. Let me share one more powerful story that illustrates why this works. I've talked to women who tried everything, expensive salon treatments, prescription medications, specialized shampoos costing $40 a bottle, and nothing worked until they addressed the fundamental nutritional deficiency. One woman described spending thousands of dollars over 2 years trying to stop her hair loss, feeling increasingly desperate and hopeless, until she met with a nutritionist who told her simply, "You're not eating enough protein and your iron is dangerously low." She started eating spinach daily, added lentils to her meals, increased her overall protein intake to about 70 grams daily, and within 4 months her hairdresser asked what treatment she'd been using because her hair looked completely different. She wasn't using any treatment, she was just finally feeding her body what it needed. That's the power of addressing root causes instead of chasing symptoms. You deserve to feel confident at every age. You deserve to look in the mirror and like what you see. You deserve to run your fingers through your hair and feel it thick and strong between your fingers. Don't let anyone tell you that hair loss is just something you have to accept, that it's an inevitable part of aging you need to make peace with. Yes, some thinning is natural, but the dramatic shedding, the visible scalp, the hair that comes out in handfuls, that's not normal, and it's not something you have to live with. Your body is trying to tell you something, and what it's saying is simple. Feed me, nourish me, give me the building blocks I need, and I'll reward you with stronger, healthier hair. Start today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not after you finish the food currently in your house. Today. Go buy spinach, cook it tonight, add it to your dinner, and begin this journey. Share this video with women in your life who are struggling with the same issue because they deserve this information too. If you found this valuable, hit that like button so other women can find this information when they're searching desperately for answers at 2 in the morning feeling hopeless and alone. Drop a comment below telling me your age and where you're from so we can build a community of women supporting each other through this journey. Subscribe to this channel for more evidence-based health information that actually helps you live your best life at every age. Remember, your best years aren't behind you, they're still ahead. And they'll be even better when you feel confident, vibrant, and beautiful in your own skin. You've got this.